Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. And here we are to discuss the spoilers for chapter 235 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which are known as the battle within the demon-infested Shinjuku, part 13. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just say, isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful when you have faith? When you believe? Isn't it such a beautiful, wonderful thing? You can have faith in many things. You can have faith in the stars, have faith in oneself, have faith in others. But if this chapter taught me one thing, it's that you can always and always have faith in the strongest. But I knew that already. I never had a doubt. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. What's up, guys? I got the pencil here. Fun fact. I have it on me, and I keep it on me at all times. But unfortunately, it looks like a certain king, quote unquote, does not have it on him, and did not keep it on him at all times. But let's stop talking in vague nicehoods. Let's hop into chapter 235. Now, so we are, sorry, I have just woken up. I'm off the za, yet I cannot scream. But I promise you, I will be looking for the opportunity. I will be itching, scratching, feeding for the opportunity to scream. So know it will come. Maybe not in this video. Oh, but it's coming. But regardless, we open up and we do get to see that the chapter begins where we left off immediately. Gojo is regrowing his right hand bit by bit. You can see it slowly start to reflesh up as Ahito just gets absolutely annihilated in the background. Notably, I do want to admit, I am stealing this directly from Babylon. He is a JJK TikTok creator. It is literally just Babylon. Look up Babylon JJK on TikTok. I will not take any credit for this because I literally saw this as I was scrolling looking for the spoilers this morning. He brought up the fact that Round Deer seems to have been removed from Ahito in the middle of last chapter. Mainly because you can't see Ahito's horns anywhere in the last chapter at all. Sure, its regeneration still seems to be there after the horns are removed, I do believe, but you don't actually see the horns. So maybe Round Deer was saved, pulled out, and used by Sukuna. Or will be used by Sukuna. Regardless, Ahito cooked. Literally all that's left is what seems to be a portion of its head, but that was a bit too much destruction, which is interesting. I do think, well, here's the thing, I'm not exactly sure what that means for Maharaga's regeneration. What is the upper limits of that? Because the big question that a lot of us had after Maharaga got destroyed, and obviously Maharaga's been around now, how much of Maharaga do you need to destroy to actually get rid of Maharaga? Like, do you have to atomize it? We know the wheel is indestructible. The wheel has just claimed to be the most durable thing in the verse and has yet to break that claim. But Maharaga itself, do you need to take off its head? Do you need to take off its upper body? Do you need to take off its whole body? The question, unfortunately, doesn't necessarily get answered in this chapter, but something happens with Maharaga in this chapter. But we do get to see. Hold on. I have too much of a morning voice right now. Let me see if I can. Hello. We're going to be stuck like this for a while. Ladies and gentlemen, I woke up super early for this. But my apologies. If I sound off, it's literally because it's early in the morning. And I may clear my throat a little bit. We'll see. But with that being the case, Gojo's regrowing his arm back as Ahito is just cooked in the background. And we see Sukuna and Maharaga looking on. Because Obviously, Gojo was very proud to bring his mother to the battlefield, so seeing her get absolutely annihilated like that, not the best of things. But naturally, Sukuna is Sukuna, right? It's a fusion. Hypothetically, the fusion should still work out. Sure, it's a totality fusion, but still, it may have been still solidly manifested, but it probably isn't totally lost to Sukuna. He probably still has a chance to make this work, and thusly when he posts up next to his father Maharaga, there seems to be some sort of faith within the king. However, naturally, what is the king to the strongest? And we get to see that Gojo is, for lack of a better term, he's kind of losing his mind. This is honestly one of my favorite panels of Gojo, and it's because it reminds me of both his own Honored One panel, which is likely in the thumbnail. I kind of already have the image for the for the thumbnail in mind. I know exactly what it's going to be, but he, as the narrator explains, Gojo and see, it's hard for me to do my narrator voice when my voice is already like this. I need to take another sip. Hello? There we go. It's calmed down a little bit. The narrator explains that Gojo's intensity has been raised due to the two black flashes, and the King of Curses, Ryomen Sukuna, is nervous for the first time in 1,000 years. So, finally, it took a second. It took a little bit of a delay, but it feels like finally the za is popping off. The reason this intensity of Gojo reminds me, and is one of my favorites, is because not only does it remind me of his own on one panel where he fell from the heavens, but it also reminds me of the Dishonored One, the Monkey King of Jujutsu, the one who left it all behind, and all those who would have to bear witness to his overwhelming intensity. Yes, this reminds me of Toji. And notably, I feel like intensity, once again, this is just like very vague pseudo-translated stuff, so we'll see what the official chapter has to say. But even the pose that Gojo makes as his arm is like recovered, not only does it kind of look like a JoJo pose, but also he has that same look that Toji had when he burst into Dagon's domain. Like I can't necessarily see his other arm in this panel, but it seems like both of them are raised up. Like he's gone. He's losing it. And like admittedly, we know that Gojo's at his strongest when he's losing it. Whenever Gojo loses his mind, that is when Gojo's at its most effective, because naturally that produces more cursed energy, and Gojo's losing everything here. And it's very oh, sweet mother of mercy, I just noticed this and now I cannot see it, dog. Yo. Sometimes I believe that creators have a pulse on their fan base. They do certain things in certain ways because of how the fan base reacts, or how they know the fan base will react to certain things. A very big example of that is in another series I cover on the channel, Four Knights of the Apocalypse. There are a lot of things within that series that are specifically attuned to fans of the previous series. And Nakaba, the writer of Similarly Sins and now Four Knights, understands, okay, this is what the fandom likes, this is how the fandom wants it, yada, yada, yada. And accommodates certain things to that. There are examples that explain, but all those examples are massive spoilers. So I won't go too into depth on that. But for this case of Gojo versus Sukuna, the memes had to have reached Gege. I know there were so many of them, but I didn't think they would be this far-reaching nor this effective. Because notably, I have no idea what the Japanese fandom thinks of this. Like the I don't want to say the intended audience, like that's kind of wrong. Well, I guess realistically, the intended audience, he's a Japanese mangaka. We are fans of it, but we aren't. Highly doubt Gege became a mangaka for us. But I wonder if the memes are that widespread, because literally Sukuna is being held by the hip by Maharaga. Like, I understand it's his ultimate tool and weapon, a toy, if you will, but dog, why are you being held? Like, that's even worse. I don't know, that's even worse. Like, I'm trying to think, even by my own thought, I was like, at worst, like, the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me in public was I was grabbed by the back of my shirt. Like, my dad just straight up went, come here, boy, and like drag me out of someplace. But like, he's literally being coddled. Like, I think this is specifically reminds me a lot of the Baby Kuna stuff, where he was like literally being held in one hand and being praised, like play, like dog. What is, what is this? Though, admittedly, it is very, very interesting that this is what it took, right? Like, I'll give credit to Sukuna. It wasn't the first purple. It wasn't the blues. It wasn't the reds. It wasn't anything like that. What it took for him to finally get nervous for the first time in 1,000 years was seeing Gojo actually wild out, actually start to lose his mind. Because once again, I think the main reason Sukuna was so confident is because he just didn't think modern sorcerers had it in him. Like, his first impression of modern sorcerers, ironically enough, was Gojo. But his first impression of modern sorcerers were characters like Megami, Itadori, living through Yuji, Nobara, like all these different characters. And like, he probably thought none of them had that dog in them. It's as simple as that. And I don't blame him, because the first examples he got did not have that dog in him. And obviously, he didn't necessarily respect Gojo that much, since Gojo seemed to be the one exception. But he's like, it's a modern sorcerer. They aren't really like that. But I think for the first time, Sukuna seeing the insanity that is Gojo Satoru and realizing, I wonder if he and Kenjaku ever had any conversations about it. I wonder if he didn't believe Kenjaku at first, being like, yeah, whatever, big brain boy. You can say whatever, do whatever. But sure, I don't believe you. But now he's realizing, he is an anomaly. He's not. Oh, sweet mother of mercy, he's not one of them. I think that's what he's finally experiencing here. And we see that Gojo's just on a roll. With the new arm too, he reels back and boom, clocks Maharaga with a black flash. However, once again, testament to Maharaga's durability. It knocks him, but it doesn't seemingly, well, to be fair, we can't necessarily see the point of impact that much, but this actually doesn't do that much damage. Like, Maharaga's arm isn't even taken off. Those will show you how bulky Maharaga is. Like, once again, Gojo's black flashes in particular should be some of the strongest attacks in the series. Especially if they're the blue infused ones, these should be some of the strongest attacks literally in the entire series. The only one that may surpass it is Yuki's black hole, because that's literally a black hole. But like, in terms of just raw output, black flashes from Satoru Gojo should be in an entirely different world. So the fact that Maharaga eats that, testament to his durability. And also a testament to purple later on in this chapter. To kind of spoil that, but you're here for a spoiler talk. We do get to see that this was essentially a stalling metric, because Gojo lands the black flash on Maharaga. Maharaga's forced to recover, and then Sukuna is forced to actually chase Gojo. Once again, very, very impressive. Gojo's presumably using blue to amp himself here, but Sukuna is able to lock on and keep his eyes on Gojo. Once again, super duper impressive. I won't say I've been entirely unbiased. Whew, my apologies. I won't say I've been entirely unbiased against Sukuna. I've been trying to be as unbiased as possible, because I like both of these characters. Sweet mother of mercy. Hold on, let me take a sip. Sorry about that. Yeah, but I've been trying to be as unbiased against these characters as I can be, because I like both of these characters and I see the validity in both sides of the argument. So I do have to give Sukuna his due credit for being able to keep up with Gojo. Once again, as much as we've been joking on Sukuna, well, at least this is for me. I'm not sure about every other Gojo fan out there. Maybe they actually mean it. But for me, as a Gojo fan, as someone who believed that Gojo would win the moment that he said, I will win, I'll give Sukuna his due credit. Any other character wouldn't even be able to receive Gojo off of 3 black flashes. Let's be real. 120% absolute potential in the zone Gojo. Not a soul would be perceiving that, man. Only Sukuna. And I guess Mei's crows. But that's it. Only Sukuna would be able to do something this insane. Shout outs to the boy. Massive shout outs to the boy. He really is Timothy. However, we do get to see Gojo, on his Kingdom Hearts 2 type beat, hits the reversal on Sukuna and lunges in for some more hand-to-hand. And we see that Sukuna, he's starting, like, the cracks are starting to show, I will admit. Because while Gojo has this big old dumb grin on his face, because he's having the time of his life, Sukuna's but I'll admit, once again, credit to Sukuna, he's still throwing hands. Like, he manages to send out a punch, Gojo weaves around it, grabs, and this is kind of crazy. Sukuna punches, Gojo weaves around, grabs Sukuna, hits the 180 on him, and throws him into Maharaga. Like, dog, what? What? Like, that is crazy. Like, I get it. It's because Gojo's literally a cheater. And, like, even after all this, I have to say, if the mana meter for Gojo is at 100 points at the start of the day, he's probably at 98 points. Like, I highly doubt, even after all he's done, just based on how he's moving and grooving, I think his mana meter is still super duper topped off. But I think the wear and tear is actually starting to hit Sukuna. Because Sukuna wouldn't have lost an interaction this easily. Because it doesn't even seem like Gojo's doing anything too crazy. Sukuna's watching his every move, but he still ends up getting thrown into Maharaga. So I think Sukuna is actually finally tiring out. And this makes sense, because remember what he said last chapter. He admitted that, yo, I take a full output purple and I'm cooked. It's simple as that. That's all that's going to happen there. And thusly, it seems like he's actually running out, which is great. Like, I get it. He's been spamming Domain, which takes a whole bunch of energy. He's been spamming Curse Techniques, which takes a whole bunch of energy. He's been reinforcing, fueling, summoning the 10 Channels technique, takes a whole bunch of energy. Spamming RCT to stay in the battle, a whole bunch of energy. But remember, this guy has over twice the curse energy of Yuta Okotsu. And he seems to be the most efficient sorcerer in the entire series, if Kashimo's anything to go by. So the fact that Gojo's managed to wear him down like this, very, like, impressive on both ends. Impressive that Sukuna's able to last this long. No other character in the series would be able to do this. And also impressive that Gojo was able to actually bring out the wear and tear on Sukuna. Actually jack him up a little bit. Well, more than a little bit. But, like, that's crazy. Twice the cursed energy of you. Mr. Boundless Cursed Energy. Gojo likely has a third of the amount of cursed energy that Sukuna does in terms of just raw amount, but Sukuna's actually getting burned out. And we see that Gojo wastes no time. He throws Sukuna into Maharaga and just immediately smacks Maharaga with another Black Flash. Then once again, credit to Maharaga's durability. It doesn't even break. Like, not even the sword on its hand breaks. And once again, Maharaga coddling his baby boy after he lost his beloved wife. Boom, he puts up the shield. But it's still amazing that Maharaga is able to just scrumdiddly. This is the 4th Black Flash. I believe this is Nanami's record. This is just Nanami's record flat out. The 4th Black Flash on Maharaga, and Maharaga's able to eat it just fine. Now, you could definitely argue the reason Maharaga's eating these so well is because essentially all it is Gojo's punches raised to 2.5, not actually the blue punches, because Maharaga has adapted to blue, likely even blue infusion, so maybe that's why this is doing nothing more than pushing him back. But even still, Gojo's punches raised to 2.5 power. Like, remember, and I guess if the blue is negated, that's the weird thing. If the blue's negated, it's admittedly not as impressive that Maharaga's eating all these Black Flashes, but still, I still say it's impressive, regardless. Because I was going to say, remember, it made Yuta Okotsu the arguably 3rd or 4th bulkiest character in the series behind Kenjaku, Gojo, and Sukuna hurl in one hit. But at the same time, that was when blue was infused. So if blue ends up getting negated here, it's just Gojo's regular punches, which are still good, don't get me wrong, but they aren't all too crazy. Even still, shoutouts to Maharaga for just no. However, we do get to see that Maharaga and Sukuna get thrown away. They get thrown back into a building. But then Gojo reveals that, oh, y'all thought I was fighting you? You're right. No, I'm not fighting you right now. Oh, I'm getting ready for y'all. And he immediately begins to chant for the next attack. Remember, his output's lowered. And Sukuna said that he specifically cannot allow Gojo to whip out a full output purple. It seems like Sukuna could hypothetically tank a lowered output purple. If he was able to face tank that, force Gojo to fire the attack early, like he said a few chapters ago, make Gojo get sloppy, no toppy, and throw out a purple before it was properly ready, then if anything, that would leave Gojo open. And then he would end up, for lack of a better terms, cooked, because then Sukuna would be able to capitalize. But right now, Gojo begins the chant, presumably to restore his cursed energy and to fire the next attack. And we see that Sukuna immediately starts calculating. He starts reviewing, and I like this. I really like this a lot for Sukuna. He starts calculating all the information. And he's like, okay. This doesn't seem to be the chant for purple. If it were, it seems more similar to red. So hypothetically, this is actually good, because then I can get Mahoraga to adapt to red, and with adaptation to red and blue, it may be able to individually, well, to be fair, the little rough translations I see here do not say this, but I presume that what Sukuna believes is that if Mahoraga adapts to red, then it's over, right? Because then Mahoraga would have no worries of any of Gojo's attacks. Sukuna's already shown the capability to face tank in a lot of Gojo's attacks and or deal with them in their own unique ways, and then it's all good, right? Then he doesn't necessarily have to deal with any of Gojo's techniques anymore, as long as he can keep him from firing purple, since purple is a different phenomena. But unfortunately, Sukuna read the play wrong. He stood there, and I don't blame him. Obviously, he needs time to think. He needs time to do things before he engages. If he engages too early, he could get cooked. Gojo fires the red off into the heavens. And then, this is admittedly the most desperate we've seen Sukuna. He immediately yells at Mahoraga to get to work. Once again, very, very... I have to make the... I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm going to make a video called the Gojo. Literally the Gojo effect. The Gojo effect. Because the face that Sukuna makes here, the face of seemingly absolute and abstract terror as he screams for Mahoraga to do something. No other characters bringing this out of Sukuna, dog. Not a single other character but Gojo Satoru, seemingly fully healed himself in this panel. Though, admittedly, I think that's just for the dramatic flair of him firing the red upwards. But, dog, the look on Sukuna, like, that is a face of absolute terror. I've seen that face before. I myself have laid witness to that face before. That face of absolute terror in the face of certain doom. There were a couple times in my life where I myself have made a face like that, and I've also yelled for someone to do something. Like, admittedly, I was not fighting the strongest sorcerer in the demon-infested Shinjuku, but that face of terror and understanding of, oh no, if so-and-so does not do this thing right now, we are done. Oh, I know the feeling, Sukuna. I know the feeling. And we see that, shout outs to Mahoraga. In one of the most metal moves this side of the Mississippi, Mahoraga doesn't even go out the opening. It just straight leaps through the ceiling. I hate to say it. Like, obviously, I still think Sukuna's cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to make a video on why Itadori body Sukuna was hitting different in comparison to Megami body Sukuna. But, like, the answer to that is pretty obvious. I think everyone knows why. He's fighting Satoru Gojo. But it's a longer story than that as well. But with that being the case, Mahoraga really has been the MVP of this entire encounter. Like, even more than Gojo himself, I have to say. I know that sounds crazy coming from a Gojo fan, but considering Mahoraga was hyped up for realistically, ever since Megami first tried to use him, way back when, in like the first 10 chapters of the series, maybe the first 20 chapters of the series, Mahoraga has been hyped up to be this beast, this monster, this unstoppable thing that can slay even 6-size and limitless users. He's lived up to that. He's definitely lived up to that. Mahoraga himself has never, I would never call Mahoraga a fraud. Mahoraga has exceeded all adaptation or expectations through adaptation. Like, legitimately, I am proud that Gege did not fumble with Mahoraga. That takes a lot of work, and Gege worked it well. However, we see that Mahoraga does lunge to the ceiling, does lunge outside, which is hilarious because you literally see the force it lunged with shatters all the glass windows in the building. Like, that's how much juice that Mahoraga was moving with. And we see that apparently the blue that had destroyed Ahito was still left over, simply floating in the heavens. And Mahoraga lunges in to destroy it. Very, very interesting. So I wonder if that's like an active thing, because we know something that Gojo mentioned as far as 10 years ago was the idea of activating and maintaining multiple simultaneous blues and reds at the same time. So I wonder if this maintenance of blue is just an expression of that, him simply keeping it out there instead of shutting it down simply because he can. Because once again, presumably even the max output of blue for Satoru Gojo, the man with the 6 eyes, it probably doesn't take that much energy for it to maintain it. And thusly him just keeping it there after making it seem like every single time a blue is used, it's disappeared. I think that's really, really smart. I think that's a good way to utilize that and call back to that, considering we never really, in all of Gojo's fights, I don't think we've ever really seen something like this. Him having an attack linger, or a phenomena linger in open air for a long time after its purpose has been served. And I suppose it's not that much of a long time, but Gojo managed to regrow his entire arm, have this little fisticuff off with Sukuna and Mahoraga, throw him into a building. Like, it takes a pretty hot second before Mahoraga is able to notice and lunge for this spear. However, we see the red spear chasing. And I'll give credit once again to Mahoraga. It's really, really fast. Like, the fact that it managed to get past, like, by taking a super indirect route too, like going through each building to leap out of said building, create an entirely different hole, and lunge for the blue. Pretty impressive. You even see Gojo having to chase it because he's like, whoa, 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 you're moving a little bit too fast there, bucko. And we see that, unfortunately, I'm not now, considering there's motion lines on this, I'm guessing Gojo flew over. But man, I wish he teleported. I get why he doesn't teleport. But we see he pulls in, and on his Gon type B, he pulls back with that rock. But Maharaga's like, dog, did you really just bring a fist to a sword fight? And raises the blade, and Gojo swings, and yo, I swear, bro, he's too Himothy, bro. He's too Himothy. Because we see in one of the, like, notably this isn't a Black Flash, but seemingly enough, it does more damage than the Black Flash. Or maybe this is Gojo's own fist just causing an indentation. But Gojo hits Mahoraga with the cleanest uppercut this side of the Mississippi. But unfortunately, Sukuna himself has come out the shadows and is like, yo, I cannot let you do it. Like, what's an example? Okay, but so whenever I play Smash Bros with my friends, and we're doing like some crazy stuff, even 4-player Smash, but realistically it's 8-player Smash. I've mentioned it before. I'm one of those people. I will sit in the corner with Robin and spam Thoron on like a big battlefield. Heaven forbid it's a flat stage. I will cause havoc. And typically what will happen is some brave soul like Mahoraga comes to fight me. But I'm actually half decent at I haven't played the game in a while, so I may not be as good as I used to be. But I was actually half decent with Robin because I played him so much, even in 1v1s. So like they would kind of lose, because notably not all my friends played Smash Bros as intensely as me and my one friend. And my one friend would be the Sukuna in the scenario, coming in and being like, yo, don't you worry. You stall him out. You take his main attention. I got him. And we would have a scenario like this where Sukuna slides out of Mahoraga's shadow. I'm not sure if it's specifically from the shadow. I think it is, because literally he's soaked in darkness and then he leaps out of the cloak of Mahoraga. But he lunges in. I can't get the image out of my head anymore. Just the little, it's like a little tiny elephant in between his fingers, and he's compressing the water down. Like, you have, I keep referencing like childhood pencil stuff. I'm sorry. Whenever y'all had the hose when y'all were younger, y'all ever just put your thumb on there and increase the intensity of it. I imagine that's what Sukuna's doing with the little miniature elephant between his hands. He's just like pressing down on the water stream so it goes a little bit faster. And we see he lunges off with a piercing water in an attempt to disrupt the blue. Actually, no. He tries to stimulate the red and make it explode with piercing water before it clashes with blue to prevent the purple from activating. However, we see that Gojo is not letting that slide. He knocked away Maharaga, but he immediately runs in and smacks Sukuna too. Very, very impressive. Once again, no black flashings on either of these, but it's enough to stagger both of them. But Sukuna's like, I'm sorry. You know it's too late, bruh. The piercing blood, the piercing water, it's already been fired, bro. It's a G jizzle. I like your setup, I like your plan, but unfortunately you just aren't him, my friend. But you would think after all of this, like, I get Sukuna's a very arrogant individual. I get everything in creation has always bent to his will. I get all that. I really do. I really do. But you think he would know better at this point to start talking smack before the dub was confirmed. Because as the piercing water is about to strike the red, Gojo simply looks at him and begins to chant, Azure blue, wondrous flames of creation. And we see... Oh, wait, so he does attack... Okay, so that was just a weird thing. We see he chants and enhances blue, before, which again, very, very impressive considering the ability of piercing water on someone like Choso being that fast. The fact that Gojo, oh lord, never that fraud. Gojo, the fact that he was able to chant and amplify blue to the point where the piercing water does absolutely nothing when being launched by 20-finger Maguna? That's that's a crazy feat in of itself. He was able to chant it and enhance it that quickly. And like notably, the piercing water is like literally, it's like this far apart. It's literally this far apart before Gojo starts chanting, and then the water clears the distance and then pierces it, but does no damage. And then Sukuna seems to finally realize, oh no. And we see, with one final chant, floating in the heavens, as his two opponents fall down towards the earth, as they are the fallen, mind you, the shadows. We see, as we cut back to the crew, Yuta apologizes to Kusakabe and says that if he, a hindrance like him, was at the battlefield, Gojo could not have pulled this off. And in one of the most metal moments in the entire series, Gojo crosses blue and red and says Hollow Technique Purple. And we get shots of Daddy Maharaga, the strongest sorcerer now in all of history, and the King of Curses himself. They all look on and bear witness to the destruction of Shinjuku. And seemingly enough, the explosion of power is so detrimental, so insane, so beyond comprehension, that we literally don't even see Maharaga get vaporized. It is so crazy that you just see the wheel fly away. And seemingly enough, the indestructible wheel burns away. We don't even see it we don't get 100% confirmed, but lights on fire a bit. And we see Shinjuku in ruins. And we see one man burnt, cooked, crispied, missing his left hand, covered in burn marks, torn piece to piece. His shoes are gone. Everything is annihilated. The King of Curses, the strongest sorcerer in history, stands there, barely, as the true strongest sorcerer stands there, well and alive. And we see the purple did hit him too, but since it was made of his own cursed energy, he kind of face tanked it. Like, he was like, whatever. And Kusakabe points out that Sukuna now does not have Maharaga, and he has slowed down healing, so he won't be able to use domain amplification. And thusly, the chapter, I don't know, this is just the raw translation stuff. I'll wait till the end of the official chapter, actually, or the translations of the chapter come out. But it seems like Gojo has won the battle of the strongest. It feels so good. But I will admit, there's a few concerning things here. Obviously, Sukuna is not gone. He is, in fact, still alive. And there are three things, actually. There are 3 things that Sukuna is yet to do. And that's why I'm interested to see what this chapter actually says. Because if it actually does say Gojo's won, I'm a little bit intrigued. Because I don't think Gege has dropped plot points before. But these are some recent plot points that have been established. Like as early, we're on 235, as early as like less than 20 chapters ago. Less than half a year ago. So there are 3 things that Sukuna's yet to do. And I think lend credence to the idea that Sukuna isn't actually done. I mean, once again, in a similar vein to where I don't believe Gojo's done until I literally see him decapitated. I don't see Sukuna being done until, like, he literally falls over and perishes, and Megami is just left there broken. We have yet to see Yorozu's gift. That is something that has entirely gone unmentioned ever since it's been established. We've got mentions of Yorozu at the end of certain chapters, but the lacking of Yorozu's gift, that's a big one. That's a big one. We know a weak creation user, a super weak creation user, made a gift for their sibling. And it was like the arguably 2nd or 3rd best cursed tool in the entire verse. Soul Split Katana, made by Mai for Maki on her deathbed. Yorozu is an infinitely better creation user, an infinitely more powerful one. So Yorozu's gift is going to be crazy. I still think that needs to come out. Number 2, Sukuna has yet to use his real technique. Now, this may just be me huffing copium, because for all intents and purposes, Sukuna using his real technique shouldn't matter, right? Because now he has no way to get through infinity. His sweet little Maharaga baby, his father, seemingly enough gone. You could argue maybe Sukuna was smart enough to despawn Maharaga before Maharaga got destroyed, but considering it looks like chunks of him are raining away from a seemingly destroyed Dharma wheel, maybe not. But who knows? Maybe Sukuna's true domain will kick in and it'll be crazy. And finally, the most concerning one for me, because I really wanted to see it, no original body Sukuna. None at all. That feels a little bit weird. I could have sworn we were going to see that. And with that being the case, we don't get to see that. So I feel like that's still in play. So those are 3 things that are in play specifically for just Sukuna off the end of this chapter. What's in play for Gojo now? Well, for all intents and purposes, he should be good on everything as he heals, bit by bit, piece by piece. His neutral limitless should be back on, all that good stuff. However, both of these characters are now physically damaged and are likely still brain damaged. Their domains are off the table. Now, Gojo does still have both of his hands, so it's very likely that he could whip out a simple domain, or even a falling blossom emotion. But the reason I bring that up is because I already made a video on it. I may have to make another one already. Kenjaku is still around. Kenjaku could definitely still be cooking And it seems like now would be the time for him to hop in. And that seems to be the case. So Kenny coming in with his own domain, entirely possible, especially considering these two are now omega fatigued and in their weakest states. And then the final one that I'm hoping for, if this truly is the end, if the strongest has truly been decided, someone's time is now. I want to open up next chapter with Sukuna falling and then lightning striking the ground. And the beast saying, "Took you long enough, strongest." And then we get Kashimo versus Gojo. And Gojo one-taps that man. Curse technique and all. Nah, but I do think now is time for Kashimo to get active, if any time at all. But if I had to rank the likelihood of possibilities, it would literally be in that order. I think Sukuna / Shirosu's gift is going to come in. If I had to say what it would be, maybe it is literally just a sensu bean. Maybe it is literally just he gets healed and restored to full power. And then the fight essentially resets. And then he activates his true form, his true body. And then he activates his real curse technique. All that on top of it to really give Gojo a run for his money. Call it round 3. Call it the official battle of the strongest. No more relying on other people's techniques, just back to originals. That's the best case scenario for Yorozu's gift. Next up is just Kenjaku coming in to cook. Once again, the conditions, the win con for the Culling Games has not been met because Yuta's still alive, Akari's still alive, Maki's still alive, Itadori's still alive. Like a bunch of different characters are still alive. So realistically, Kenjaku's goals are not met, but he could work around that. I mentioned how he could work around that in my video. Go peep that if you want to know how I think Kenjaku could work around that rule. And then finally, Kashima wanting to fight the strongest. I mean, I just hope he wants to fight Gojo. Please. Give Kashima, please, do something, bro. Do something. Because right now, it looks like Gojo stole your narrative role. However, if you're wondering what I think, this is definitely a W chapter by leaps and bounds. I'm very excited for next week, or no, the week after next. We are on break. Presumably, I think we're on break this time. I said that last time, I think, and I was just wrong. So maybe we are on break, but I think we are on break for a week. Good. Thank you, Gege. Give you some time to cook some videos up. Finally, I can finally release that Yuki video that I've been promising for like 3 months. So, thank you, Gege. And I am very, very, very interested to see what comes next. But those are my thoughts. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure the notification bell so you not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. And also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Wakanda Plays and Red Wolf 4765. I'd like to give a very big thank you to our $5 patrons, Sean Gray, Red Wolf 4765, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, Demix LND, and Art Goon. I'd like to give another super big thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, and Idemokami. And a final very big thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give a very, very big thank you to our $25 patron, Igneo Lynn.